Okay, everybody. Um, Welcome to the Newark Unified School District's Board meeting. We are convening this session at 6:01 p.m. And let's see here. Can we do roll call, Ms. Pam?
Board Member Wen?
Here.
Board Member Jones?
Here.
Board Member Zhang?
Here.
Vice President Hill?
Here.
And President Thomas is not here.
Thank you very much. We've had a scheduling issue that we need to address given the fact that President Thomas is not here. And so we're moving, or we need to actually adjourn this meeting and then reconvene a special meeting so that President Thomas can join remotely. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting and then reconvene?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Do you want a roll call vote?
Oh, I guess we probably need a roll call vote. Can we vote on board docs for this?
Just do a roll call vote.
Member Wen?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Hill?
Yes.
Thank you.
The motion carries unanimously. So I adjourn this meeting. To a special meeting of the Newark Unified School District's Board of Education meeting. Please let me review the in-person meeting information.
Should that start at 6:05? Yeah, 6:05.
Oh, we gotta wait. Okay. We'll rewind that. Unified School District's Board of Education special meeting on February 2nd, 2023. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:09. Quick review of meeting practices. NUSD has opened its boardroom for in-person meetings and will follow the state's and Alameda County's safety guidelines for public gatherings. Please refrain from attending in-person meetings if you have any of the following systems. Sorry, guys. Loss, taste of smell, difficulty breathing, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, cough, headache, sore throat, runny nose. Okay. Observing the Board of Education meeting, members of the public may observe the meeting via the NUSD YouTube channel, live transmission on Comcast Channel 26, or in person at the NUSD boardroom. Spanish translation will be available via Zoom. Public comment. The public will have the opportunity to address the Board of Education regarding non-agendized matters and agendized items with a live audio-only comment via Zoom with advance notice requested by email at publiccomment@newarkunified.org, or a written comment by submitting a speaker card via email at publiccomment@newarkunified.org, or with live in-person comments by submitting a speaker card with the executive assistant. Ms. Pim, can I get a roll call? Get you to help us with roll call, please.
President Nguyen? Member Nguyen? Sorry.
Here.
I'm so sorry. Member Jones?
Here.
Member Zhang?
Here.
Member Hill?
Here.
President Thomas?
Here.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to agenda item number 2, approval of agenda. I understand that we want to pull item 14.2. Is that correct, Dr. Triplett?
Yes, Vice President, would you like to have the President Thomas read her statement first?
Oh, I'm sorry. President Thomas, before we approve the agenda, I understand you'd like to make a statement?
Oh, I'd like to just say briefly, thank you, Vice President Hill, for taking the meeting for me tonight. Unfortunately, I tested positive for COVID yesterday. I feel fine. I wouldn't have known I had it except that I tested.
Okay, thank you. We wish you well, but thank you for joining us this evening remotely. Okay, so moving on to agenda item number 2, approval of agenda. So I understand, Dr. Triplett, that we would like to pull item 14.2. Is that correct?
Yes, we'd like to pull 14.2, please. And then President Thomas, did I understand correctly that you also want to pull an item?
Yes, I'd like to pull the item that is the discussion of the methods of operation bylaw, please.
I believe that's 16.1.
Great, thank you. Okay, with that, with items 14.2 and 16.1 pulled, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda with items 14.2 and item 16.1 pulled from the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Are we going to do this through board docs, this vote? Great.
Is it not working? I do announce it. Okay.
And when you're ready, Ms. Pim, if you could give us a count.
President Thomas, can we get your vote, please?
Say again?
Can we get your vote, please?
Yes.
We have a unanimous vote of 5 yeas.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 3, closed session 3.1, public comment on closed session items. Do we have any public comments?
No public comments at this time.
And no one remote?
No one remote.
Great. Okay, thank you. So, reviewing the closed session agenda items, 3.2, public employee discipline dismissal release, 3.3, conference with labor negotiators, agenda item 3.4, conference with labor negotiators, NUMA, I'm sorry, 3.3 was NTA and CSEA. 3.4 NUMA, 3.5 conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, and then ultimately recess from closed session. And do we need to get a motion to adjourn? No, okay. So we will be adjourning to closed session, and we will be joining you at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much. convening to open session. Can we all now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item 5.1, report of closed session actions. There is nothing to report. Agenda item 6.1, student reports from Newark Junior High School Alternative Education and Newark Memorial High School. Dr. Triplett.
Thank you, Vice President Hill, and good evening to board members, staff, families, and students. Ms. Pim, do we have any student leaders in addition to Board Member Torres?
Yes, we have one from Bridgepoint. Board Member Torres, do you want to go first?
Welcome everyone to this board meeting. Hope everyone is doing fantastic. February is a very busy month for the school. The administration would like to let everyone know the new actions they are taking to combat the common problem of students being tardy to class. They are still doing tardy sweeps. If you're caught tardy, then you will have to serve a detention. There is a new system to let the administration know who doesn't show up for detention, which is part of the new tardy policy. The administration, along with the students, are very excited and looking forward to many of the upcoming events. A brand new event this year to honor Black History Month is the Black Pride Expo. This event will take place on February 17th from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the Newark Memorial High School Commons. This vendor fair event will be a great opportunity for Black-owned businesses to sell their items to the Newark community. As I said in the previous meeting, our Sadie's Dance and Senior Cruise will be taking place this month. The tickets are both on sale. Sadie's is $15 with the ASB seal and $18 without the ASB seal. Senior Cruise is $75 with the ASB seal and $80 without the ASB seal. Next week is Elections Week at the high school. On Tuesday, the candidates will participate in a Meet the Candidates event where they will give a speech to the entire student body to showcase their public speaking skills and let the students know who they are. Those who are running for class or ASB president have been busy putting together the campaigning videos that will be shown at the Meet the Candidates event. The school has been working very hard to finalize the details for our HAT/Multicultural Week. The performers are busy practicing and performing their routines. Clubs are hard at work trying to figure out what to sell for food fairs. The dress-up days and lunchtime activities are set. We can't wait to see all the different ways that students show off their cultures. The school's 11th and 12th grade Lean Crew leaders will be going into the 9th grade PE classes to teach the freshmen about the importance of building strong relationships. This is a great opportunity for the 9th graders to hear from the upperclassmen about what they have done to maintain strong relationships in their lives. The wrestling team is going to be hosting all the Fremont schools and Logan and Moreau at the end of the season tournament Friday, February 11th. This is a great opportunity for the athletes and the league to visit Newark Memorial High School. We wish the wrestling team and the soccer team and the basketball teams good luck as their seasons come to an end. The spring sports are officially starting on Monday. Some of those sports include boys tennis, track and field, lacrosse, baseball, softball, and badminton. One event that is coming up that the whole school is excited about is the Special Olympics. Special Olympics is going to take place on Friday, February 17th from 9 to 1. There is an estimated 250 to 300 student athletes that will be coming to Newark Memorial to participate in a basketball tournament. Coach K has personally invited all the board members and the executive cabinet to attend this magnificent event that showcases the inclusivity and talents of our wonderful athletes and the outcome of such hard work from the Newark Memorial High School Athletic Department. I would like to give a big congratulations to one of our student athletes, Tali Faye, for being Athlete of the Week. Tali is currently a senior on the basketball team and is going to be recognized at the next city council meeting on February 9th. Tali is going to be the first person to be recognized by the city's new mayor. I would like to also congratulate our football team. I know you're probably wondering, but football was months ago. Yes, I know that. But recently they were recognized by NCS, the Northern California section, the league that Newark Memorial competes in, and has been recognized in an article as having great sportsmanship by their final opponent, Marin Catholic. It is great to show that the Cougars show pride and respect on and off the field. Athletics are also very grateful to have awarded 325 athletes as scholar athletes. Those awarded got a shirt which is a symbol of the balance of managing being an athlete and still achieving getting a 3.5 GPA or higher. Lastly, I would like to report on how the recycling program has been going. So far, the group has put out the labeled bins around campus, made a very funny and educational video about recycling, and has been busy emptying the bins. It is really rewarding to see the group be passionate about saving the environment and work hard to make sure the school is doing its part. That is all for tonight. Thank you so much for listening.
We also have student Alexis Blanco Barron, who sent in a video for us to watch regarding Bridgepoint Alternative School.
Good evening, Superintendent Triplett, board members, and cabinet members. I'm Alexis Blanco Barron from Bridgepoint Leadership Ed 2. Bridgepoint students enjoy our chill lounge at lunch. Starting next week, SAVE will be presenting during our advisory. They will be talking about healthy relationships and preventing relationship violence. Crossroads now has a classroom. Welcome, Ms. Picardo. Thank you for your support.
Great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7.1, staff spotlight. Dr. Triplett.
Thank you very much, President Hill. Ms. Pym, could you put up the slide deck? It's on the same one as the superintendent report. All right, so this evening we're excited to spotlight 3 of our fantastic staff, starting with our CSEA staff spotlight. This is Carla Hernandez. She is a bilingual aide at Birch Grove Intermediate. Carla is sincerely devoted to the success of all students and is a valuable member of the BGI team. As the bilingual aide at BGI, she demonstrates initiative in seeking out and collaborating with staff members. She regularly meets the needs of learners, recognizing the diversity of learning styles, and prepares activities for small group support. Carla continues to develop positive relationships with the school community as the English Learner Liaison and the LPAC Coordinator. She is a valuable resource to our families and is committed to meeting the needs of our BGI Bulldogs. It is evident that she has a heart for students, parents, and staff. We are extremely proud to spotlight Carla Hernandez. Can we have a little applause? Next, we wanted to do our NTA spotlight. So this is Ms. Audrey Trotter. She's a resource specialist at Coyote Hills Elementary. So Audrey Trotter is the fabulous resource specialist at Coyote Hills Elementary. She is one of our lead resource specialists in Newark Unified School District. She works with students in kindergarten through 5th grade, working towards IEP goals. She works closely with students and families to support their needs. Audrey is always willing to go the extra mile and support the staff. Also, she serves on many committees, including the Instructional Leadership Team at Coyote Hills and the Sunshine Committee. We are so honored to have Audrey Trotter on the team NUSD, so please join me in appreciating her. And last but certainly not least, for a NUMA spotlight, we have Ms. Laura Johnson, who's the Administrative Assistant in the Human Resources Department here at the district office. So Laura Johnson is the Administrative Assistant for Human Resources. She has been part of NUSD for 12 years and is an integral part of the HR team. Ms. Johnson prepares board agenda items, monitors areas of compliance, manages the budgets, and provides overall administrative support to the department. She enjoys the close-knit community that Newark and NUSD provide, and we are thrilled to have her as part of the amazing team and community. Thank you, Laura. And that is our spotlight for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Triplett. Moving on to agenda item 8.1, employee organizations. Do we have any representatives?
Yes, we do. We have Elizabeth Rancat Perez, the principal of Lincoln for NUMA. She will be over Zoom.
Hello? Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, Elizabeth.
Okay, great. Good evening, President Thomas, Board of Trustees, and Executive Cabinet members. Thank you for having me this evening. Our NUMA members are gearing up for community engagement sessions where parents, families, and community members have a chance to voice their input regarding the development and evaluation of the local control accountability plan. We look forward to these upcoming conversations. In an effort to recruit families to our district, principals and their teams will be conducting weekly school tours for anyone who is interested in enrolling their students in NUSD schools. They will get the opportunity to highlight the many great things that are happening on their campuses and at the district. We encourage families to contact schools directly for more information. And once again, we thank all of our NUMA members for their collaboration, effort, and true commitment to the important stakeholders in the Newark Unified School District. Thank you and good evening.
Any additional representatives?
We had Sherry Villa, but I do not see her here, so.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 9.1, public comment on non-agenda items. So can we ask Ms. Robin Kawabata to please come forward?
Hello, board members and executive cabinet. Hello to all those in attendance watching online as well as in person. And thank you for my K team for being here to support me tonight. My name is Robin Kawabata. I'm a parent of 2 children currently in this district and one who recently graduated from Newark Memorial High School and is a freshman in college. I'm also a kindergarten teacher at Birch Grove Primary. I want to thank the board members for taking on this task of helping to take care of our wonderful school district. Our administration works hard, our certificated staff works harder, and our teachers work the hardest. Our students come to school and learn and become educated. Parents, they deserve the best. They also come to school to have science and PE, but 1 to 3 times a month, they do not attend these classes. Our students are missing their classes, and this cannot continue. Is it right, parents, for your child to miss their class? Is it okay for students to not receive their required physical education minutes? Is it acceptable for our first and second grade students to not attend their science lesson for the week? The reason they miss class, there are not enough subs in our district because our district chooses not to pay a competitive rate. Why would a guest teacher work in Newark for less pay than surrounding districts? This issue then trickles down to the teacher. They are frustrated, they are tired, they are behind, they cannot plan for their students, and they are left feeling undervalued. This then trickles down to the student. They are disappointed, they are sad, they are confused, they are behind, they don't get their work back on time, and they are told by me personally how nice their PE teacher is that they are covering a class for a teacher who is sick, because we work very hard to build empathy. All this can be fixed if our district chose to use the money to raise our guest teacher pay. Think about the students in Newark. Now let's talk about pay. We do not have a teacher shortage. A shortage is a situation in which something needed cannot be obtained in sufficient amounts. We had the teachers, they left to Fremont for higher salary. We had the teachers, they went to New Haven for more money. We had the teachers, then they moved out of the area for more affordable places to live because they did not earn enough money working in Newark. They were here, we had great teachers, but they are no longer obtainable because we choose not to pay them and keep them here. Newark created this shortage by not caring enough to pay for our teachers more than our surrounding districts. You cannot stay in Newark and be loyal because you love our district. Being loyal and staying does not pay for your child's college tuition. It does not put food on the table, and it does not pay rent or mortgage. A higher salary pays for the teachers to stay in Newark, and it keeps them from going to Fremont. The district has a very simple decision to make. Give teachers a raise so they will stay, and you won't have teachers leaving. It broke my heart when my son's social studies teacher left for Fremont last year. It saddened me even more hearing about 3 teachers at my current site at Birch Grove that are considering leaving to New Haven because they can make $15,000 more a year. The district can stop this fight of teachers, do what is right for our teachers and families in our school district. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Parents that are listening out here from my class and also from our other K classes, please come and speak on behalf of your child's teacher. Help keep the Newark teachers in Newark teaching.
Thank you, Ms. Kawabata. Next, I believe it's Ava, Bianca, and Leilali. Did I say your names correctly? Did I say your names correctly? Why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name is Lolly. I'm Ava.
And I'm Bianca. Good evening, board members and Newark community members watching. Yeah, we already introduced ourselves, and we're representatives of the NMHS band, and we're also officers of the band. We're here to promote our upcoming jazz concert, or as we like to call it, the La Jazz Hot. Some of you guys may be familiar with this event already. Our band and choir will perform various jazz pieces of different styles, and there will also be soloists and ensemble performances.
Our concert will be on March 4th in the NMHS Commons. The times are to be determined, but the ticket will cost $30 and will come with dinner catered by Texas Roadhouse and dessert. Along with jazz and dinner, there will be various gift baskets, a large screen TV, a power tool set, and many other prizes will be raffled off.
General sales open on February 20, and you can follow our Instagram at NMHS Band for updates or email us at nmhscougarband@gmail.com for any questions. Board members, if any of you are interested in coming, we'd be able to reserve seats for you guys. So you can email us if interested, and we can arrange that. We're so excited to see our community support us for this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Anna Rodriguez.
Good evening. I'm giving my time for right use.
She was supposed to hug me, wasn't she? Anyway, good evening, everyone. I'm trying to take the cue from Ms. Parks over the years and how she did her announcements. Anyway, Anna and I have been very involved with Newark Unified School District for like the last 30 plus years, and I just wanted to share something. I text President Thomas that she get better. We don't want people to be sick. We want people to be here. So anyway, so if you bear with me, good evening, President Thomas, Vice President Hill, Member Nguyen, Member Zhang, and Member Jones, Superintendent Triplett and staff. Happy Lunar New Year. Feliz Año. It's sad, all the stuff that's been happening in our state recently, and it just, we pray and reach out for families. Thank you for allowing Anna and I to address you tonight. First, I would like to say that I agree with hiring Mr. Lozano to finish the report on board member conduct. I guess that's it, or whatever, officially it's called. I've known Mr. Lozano for over 20 years and find him to be an honest, fair attorney, not perfect. We had one big case that, we all take the blame for. It could have gone a lot better. But over the years, Mr. Lozano has saved our district thousands of dollars, and he's a great attorney, and I think that's a good choice. I'd like to go back a few months. trying to finish. I try to get Ms. Lisa Torres, she might to come, and Mr. Board Member Zhang has 2 meetings left. In the November election, we had 4 individuals that put themselves out there and to serve our community. And as a parent and grandparent, I am so thankful that there's interest in serving our kids. Member Jones and President Thomas had winning campaigns, and everybody ran a clean, energetic campaign. Anna and I decided that we would go old school and knock on doors and pass out flyers, and we thought that was the best approach, and it was a less expensive. You can easily go up to $30,000 for some campaigns, and we wanted to keep it real low. So my minutes are up. Okay. So can I go with mine then? I'm next, and then I'll finish up. Is that okay? Okay. So for the first time in 26 years, we don't have a Latino or Hispanic on the school board. And I know some parents are concerned about that, but from day one, I've told our community that as board members, when we see students, when we see kids, we appreciate the ethnicity and all the cultures that Newark has, but we see kids. And I look at the board that's up here now, and I know you agree with me, and there's no doubt in my mind that everything that we do for what's best for our kids. And we put personal agendas aside, and we focus on kids and in every decision that we make. Anna and I we've had 9 kids and grandchildren go through the Newark system and graduate from Newark Memorial High School. 5 of them are teachers. Each one of them went through as classified, and then they became certificated. My youngest just passed the bar and became an attorney over in Livermore. Ariana, my granddaughter, just got accepted into a master's program at University of Southern California. She went through Lincoln Elementary, and as a family, we thank the staff at Lincoln and the junior high school with Mr. Neal, and then the high school with Ms. Torres, counselor, for all they had to do, in kind of nourishing her and making her the student. We have 3 children that are involved in the private sector, doing well. And my daughter, Magdalena, she's very involved in Coyote Hills Elementary. She was the past president of the parents group at Snow and has a master's in wildlife, and my grandkids are over at Coyote Hills. I also have a story of a young man, George Brewster Jr., class of 2012 from Bunker Elementary. He's an attorney now in Mississippi, striving to get on the appellate court and becoming a judge. I'm just sharing with you how I feel about Newark and our kids. We're second to none. People could talk about Mission, Irvington, and all these other schools, but going through Newark, and to me, you get the best education possible. And I appreciate this board continuing that and working to make sure our kids get a good education. So in closing, I just want to say that I really have appreciated the opportunity over the last 24 years plus in serving our community. And I'm here if any one of you need me to serve on any committee or whatever, and you need my help with anything. I just want to know that I support the fact that you're in it for the kids, and the Rodriguez family is always going to be available and supporting you. I know Member Jones knows my daughter very well. And thank you for serving our kids, and I appreciate all of you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Rodriguez. So next, Ms. Cindy Parks.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to start off by saying kudos to the preparer of the agenda. But I would also like to say that I would be remiss if I didn't mention the agenda posting issues. While technical difficulties with its website is a reason to have a delay in proper posting, one would hope the administration would take a bit more active role to ensure the public is provided the proper documents 72 hours in advance. Perhaps posting the agenda a little earlier to allow for checking would allow for those corrections to be made prior to the 72-hour cutoff time, since it was a Brown Act violation that occurred this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. So let's move on to, do we have any public comments on non-agenda items over online or over the phone?
No, we do not have any public comments over online or over the phone.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 10.1, public comment on agenda items. Ms. Parks?
Okay, so we're not doing like we did last time. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Okay, so 11.4, the certificated seniority report is the first item I'll address. The seniority list for the certificated individuals includes those who are classroom teachers, along with HR Director Ms. Ingham Waters, all principals, assistant principals. However, this list omits Mr. Dolowich, and it omits Abby Cairns, which causes me to wonder if there are any other omissions. Might I suggest a closer review might be necessary prior to giving your approval on that seniority list? That's it for that item. Reset me.
Keep.
That's okay. Okay, you'll have to get the go. You got to get it going here, girl. Okay, 12.4 is the item regarding the Chromebooks. Newark Unified has had an issue tracking its assets. According to your purchase order report presented to the board on November 3rd, 2022, Tafera was hired to inventory Chromebooks. Yes, Tafera, the same vendor for this $820,626 purchase. In the past 2.5 years, Newark Unified has spent close to $1.2 million with Tafera, however you pronounce her name, previously known as Firefly Computers, and that is before taking into account the inventory expense that was just done and this purchase. This raises a number of questions about the district's ability to properly manage its assets. If the district is unable to properly track its Chromebooks, how can we trust that they are monitoring end-of-life dates and disposing of obsolete devices? Furthermore, with the purchase of all the Chromebooks purchased in the last 2.5 years, it is imperative that you understand the district's current inventory status and the needs of students, teachers, and staff. I must emphasize that this is a serious matter, and I implore the board to fully understand the situation before making any decisions. We cannot continue to throw away money at a vendor without proper oversight and accountability. It is our responsibility to ensure that your responsibility to ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent effectively and efficiently. I urge the board to take necessary steps to address the issue and regain control of your assets.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. You want to go on to 12.7?
Yes, thank you. Okay. With permission from the author, I am going to start off by reading Carrie Knoop's email to you. Dear Board, I am writing to express my concern regarding the current connectivity and Wi-Fi issues that we are facing. To get a better understanding of the situation, it would be helpful to know if the current data usage is solely dedicated to educational purposes. Knowing the top 20 website/IEP addresses that consume the most data and most data is transferred for each of those would provide us with valuable insight. Furthermore, I would like to inquire if the school district is currently monitoring data usage and making necessary adjustments. It is imperative that we bring the Wi-Fi capabilities to meet the current needs. However, I question if the purchases made just a few years ago were the right ones. The invoices mentioned 150 Wi-Fi modulars, but I wonder what data usage projections were used to make this determination, and if future scalability has been planned for. Regarding the licenses mentioned in the invoice, I would like to know if license fees are included and if they are reoccurring. Additionally, I would like to inquire if the school district has the in-house capacity to manage and monitor this more sophisticated network and what the plan is for technical support and training. I believe these questions are crucial to the success of the project. That was from Mr. Newt to all of you. I concur with Mr. Newt's comments, and based on the November presentation, the purpose of this project is to improve the poor or slow internet speeds. Don't you think you should know how much of the poor or slow internet speeds are due to personal use versus educational use? Before investing so much money into this project, please ask for a list of the top 20 websites. This information will provide insight as to its current use, and then I hope you'll ensure it is properly or is primarily used for educational purposes. And since I have another minute left, it's my understanding there are three ways to log into the Wi-Fi at the high school. There's the staff one, there's a guest one, and then there's one that you can with a temporary ID. So you could technically be sitting in the parking lot and go in as a guest and be using the data there. So that could be contributing to the slowing down, is that you don't have to have a login to get in. You know, technically, pretty much anybody can get in at any time. So, you know, you need to ensure that it's being used properly. These are public funds, and they need to be used for the educational purposes.
Sorry, Ms. Parks, I'm going to comment on that. Those are 3 different SSIDs, so they use 3 different monitoring systems.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You need to monitor. Thank
No,
you.
but you're saying that the public Wi-Fi is impeding on the usage of what the teachers are using and what the internal public Wi-Fi for the district is, and that's not the case.
Yeah, so number one, can we talk about this when we reach that agenda item? Thank
Sure,
you.
no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, because that violated your policy. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So that's it for the speaker cards. Are there any other people online or over the phone that have public comments on agenda items?
We don't have anybody online. I don't know the role I'm going to ask. There was a late response card asking to make a comment. I'll revert to you for.
I'm going to defer to the board. I mean, I don't think we should actually,
Thank you.
from a protocol perspective. Yeah, again, I apologize. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So going on to agenda item 11, consent agenda, personnel items. That includes 11.1, consented vote, 11.2, personnel report, and, oh, did we pull the other one? I guess so, okay. So does anybody want to pull one of these items? Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the personnel?
I move to approve the consent agenda personnel items.
I second. Because it's on consent. Do you want to pull anything?
Then I think we should pull
And that will be addressed at the end of the meeting.
At item 16.
The one,
So you have to recall your motion.
yeah. So I can withdraw the motion.
Okay, please do, I'm sorry.
So I'll withdraw my motion?
I also withdraw my second.
So I would like to pull 11.4 because of the missing names on the seniority list.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve agenda items 11.1, 11.2, 11.3, 11.5, and 11.6?
I'll motion to approve item 11.2, 11.3, 11.5, and 11.6.
I'll second that.
Excuse me, it's Nancy, it's Miss Thomas at home. I probably can vote via board docs if you use board docs. I'm logged in as a member of the board.
Thank you, President Thomas. So you're voting via board docs?
I will try if you set it up as a board docs vote.
Is that possible, Ms. Pym? If not, we can just do the voice vote. You decide.
Can we do a voice vote, please?
Yes.
Oh, and then are we going to do a voice vote for all of us, or just for President Thomas?
For everyone, please.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Pym, could you solicit?
Of course. Board Member Torres?
Oh, no.
No?
Student
No?
board member does not vote on personnel action. No worries.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Zhang?
Yes.
Board Member Hill?
Yes.
Board Member Thomas?
Yes.
Sorry, President Thomas, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. So, Dr. Triplett, would you like? I'm sorry. So it was, the motion was approved by a unanimous vote. Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Triplett, could you please provide, or you and your staff provide background on 11.4?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for honoring that rather than moving it to the end, because Ms. Ingham Waters does need to leave soon. Ms. Ingham Waters, do you want to explain?
Sure. The certificated seniority report is correct as presented. Please note down Ed Code 44956.5. It says certificated administrators who are hired with no prior teaching or site level administration experience within the district and who are assigned to work at the district level do not accumulate district seniority. This may not have been present in previous or represented in previous seniority lists, but this is the correct education code. So the folks mentioned are district administrators who have not worked in a classroom or a site administration position in Newark. In addition, when we sent this out to all certificated staff members, it had a correction request form with many of the ed codes that provided for the similar explanation that I gave you, and we addressed all of those as they came in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waters. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, thank you very much for the clarification on both counts. I very much appreciate the fact that you backed things up so that I could find out the answers. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve 11.4.
I'll second that.
We're going to do a voice count? Okay, great.
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Okay, so let's see here. So moving on to consent agenda, non-personnel items. Would any of the board like to pull any of these items?
I would like to pull the Chromebook purchase item, please.
That's 12.4.
Okay. So 12.4, are there any additional items? Member Jones?
12.7.
12.7. Okay, great. And I would like to pull 12.6. Okay, great. So can I get a motion to approve agenda items 12.2, 12.3, 12.5, 12.8, and that's it.
I move to approve items 12.2, 12.3, 12.5, and 12.8.
I will second that.
Okay, we're going to do a voice count. Okay, go ahead.
Member Torres?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Vice President Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously. 12.4, Dr. Triplett.
Are we going to just,
Do you want to provide any background, or or we just want to have the members who pulled it ask their questions?
the consent agenda, pulled agenda items is actually, we.
Oh, we're going to do that later. Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, great. So we'll come back to those later. Okay, so moving on to agenda item 13.1, Superintendent Report. Dr. Triplett.
Thank you, Vice President Hill. Ms. Pim, if you could put up the deck, please. Laura Johnson again, wonderful person. Okay, so this is the superintendent's report for this evening. Next slide. First, just wanted to give a shout out to the Media Communications Academy, who presented their Silent Film Festival last night at the Star Lab. It was really fantastic. Fun, laughs, and just amazing talent in our young people. So really, really exciting. Next slide. Wanted to share really quickly, just make the board and public aware that the district has a plan for addressing the concerns around the opioid overdose crisis. Many districts in the state are making a decision to have the Narcan on campus at different schools, just in case there is some sort of issue with the ingestion of opioids. So we have been undergoing training on how to use the equipment, and that's going to be present in all our schools. So I want to appreciate the county and the state for their support and for providing resources for this endeavor. Next slide. Wanted to share that we are launching our Operation Spring into Action, which is an attendance initiative that we're doing this spring. Our goal is that we currently, as of the 18th of January, had overall school ADA for the district at 90.6%, which is pretty good, but we would like to increase that to 97% overall, and that's our goal for the spring. So using district and site attendance initiatives. And some of the things that we're going to be doing, there's a dance fever thing, a food festival, March Madness, and some other really fun, just making it fun and really encouraging students to make sure that they are attending, because bottom line is you cannot learn if you're not there. So more information to follow, but we just wanted to let the board know that this is an upcoming initiative. Next slide. So also wanted to update the board on our enrollment. We're entering enrollment season. As I mentioned last time, the dual language immersion program at Schilling, we have begun accepting interest forms for that. Those are available online or a paper form. And we've had that since January 10th. So that we're continuing to get applications or interest forms rather for the dual language immersion program. Next slide. And then wanted to share our enrollment timeline for this year. So as you can see on there, the dual language applications or interest forms we began accepting those on January 10th. We are about on Tuesday, we're about to enter a priority placement window. So that's an opportunity for families to apply early, to register early, to receive priority placement. We really want to encourage the earlier that we have folks registering for next year, then the better we are able to determine the staffing needs and begin our hiring process. So we really want to encourage everyone to register early so that we have a sense of what the needs are going to be. If the incentive for registering early is that you are given priority if you register between February 7th and March 7th. After that, we will close the priority window. We will place the families and students who registered within that window, and then we'll do open enrollment from March 17th on until school starts and beyond that. And so that's just general and regular enrollment. So again, really encouraging people to enroll early so that they have priority in their school of choice, and also so that we can really determine our staffing needs early. Wanted to just remind everyone, we have a couple holidays coming up in February, so people should plan accordingly. In addition to our Lunar New Year, we have two presidential holidays. One Monday, February 13th is Lincoln's birthday, and then Monday, February 20th is President's Day. So 2 Mondays in a row where there is no school. Students should stay home. And that's the report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Triplett. Any questions from the board? Okay, so Member Jones.
For the early enrollment, are you sending paper copies, or is that just online enrollment for families? I know last year there was an issue with not a lot of registration because it was only done online at first, and then the paper copy came out. At least that was my understanding. I may be wrong, but that was my understanding. So I'm just wondering if you're starting that enrollment by sending home a letter to the parents, especially, because a lot of them may not have internet access.
Yes, so we're communicating the enrollment process in all different channels, online as well as in backpacks. And through phone calls and email. The registration is only online, through Parent View. I don't believe that we are doing paper anymore. That was a change that happened before my time, but.
So if a family wants to, so if you send the paper home, do the backpack copy, and they want to be able to enroll on there, it tells them where they can go if they don't have access to be able to do that? Okay, super.
Yeah, that's correct. And they can get support at the school sites or here at the central office.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Member Wen.
Thank you. Dr. Triplett, I just had a follow-up question. Thank you for, making the students and staff aware of the opioid overdose. But I was wondering if you could expand on that and also have like PSAs for students on vaping and other illegal drug use on campus or anything like that, just so that we can really make students aware of what they're doing and possibly harming themselves, and then also that because they're underage, it is illegal.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, we want to get that communication out for sure in all our schools. You may have read in the news recently. There's been some really scary incidents of unintentional overdose, and there was a case of a 10-month-old in San Francisco at a playground who just happened to pick something up off the ground, and it must have been something related to fentanyl, and was about to die. And fortunately, the paramedics got there in time and administered the Narcan. So to be honest, this is what keeps me up at night. I'm terrified of this, and we really want to make sure that we're prepared. And so that's why we partnered with the state and the county to have Narcan at all our sites, and have our staff trained in the administration just in case.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 14.1, new secondary courses for 23-24. Dr. Triplett.
Thank you, Vice President Hill. Yeah, Ms. Pierce will give a brief introduction, and I believe we have Mr. Dolowich coming up to present.
We actually have two individuals coming from Educational Services. We have Mr. Dolowich from Teaching and Learning. We also have some guests with our team, and we also have Ms. Heather Decker, our Access and Equity Coordinator as well. So they're going to come present on these courses.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. The curriculum crew.
That is right. Good evening, board. Thank you for having us. Tonight we'll actually be discussing two replacement courses at Newark Memorial High School for next year. So rather than ushering in new courses, just a caveat to note in terms of verbiage. The outcomes for tonight's presentation include a detailed account of the timeline and process for the recommendation of these replacement courses for the 23-24 school year. We want to provide an opportunity for Mr. Scott Jorgens and Mr. Tyler Jorgens to speak about the rationale for recommending the specific courses. And then we want to formally request from the board approval for 1, AP Pre-Calculus, 2, Aerospace Engineering, and 3rd, a name change with respect to math analysis becoming pre-calculus. This is a visual of the pathways in California's draft framework. If you view it from the bottom up, you'll note 3 pathways. For example, the one all the way on the right, algebra, geometry, algebra 2, that's one pathway, and it leads into an option of courses in that cloud. Second pathway, integrated 1, 2, 3, etc. In the cloud, you can see clearly that the state's recommendation is pre-calculus in that gold color, not math analysis. Pre-calculus is also the name in California 2014 mathematics framework. So it is consistent, and we want to be current and aligned. That's one of the reasons we're here this evening. So with respect to just math analysis honors, we are recommending a name change for all of the math analysis courses. We collaborated closely with the math department at the high school, as well as their counseling department. And then specifically, this would be consistent with a new AP Pre-Calculus course that is set to come out next year in 23-24 with the College Board. So we want to be able to provide our students the opportunity to take that exam and earn credits at the college level. It's more recognizable for students and families. Just so you know, there's no inherent costs. Does not change the course curriculum or the books. It's just the name of the class. So what it affects, just to be clear, math analysis becomes pre-calculus. We have a blended Algebra 2 math analysis course. That becomes blended Algebra 2 pre-calculus. And then Tyler Jorgens will speak about pre-calculus AP. That would replace math analysis honors. So for the board members that were here last year, we approved a new math progressions aligned with the California mathematics framework. The courses I'm speaking about may be a little hard to decipher, but they're in blue, everything named pre-calculus. So if you look under 12th grade, that was formerly math analysis. If you look under 11th grade, specifically in that green pathway, you can see that pre-calculus and AP pre-calculus replace math analysis and math analysis honors respectively. And then that second blended Algebra 2 pre-calculus course, that is a name change as well. So that is the first of our 3 recommendations here this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Heather Decker. She's the coordinator of equity and access. So she's working very closely in improving our A through G alignment. She works diligently with our junior high and our high school counseling department, and she's also been an integral contributing member with the Curriculum and Assessment Council. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Thank you, Ariel. Good evening, board members, NUSD students, staff, and families. As Ariel said, my name is Heather Decker. I'm the coordinator of equity and access here at the district office. My focus is to support the district in increasing A through G eligibility, as well as increasing all of the college and career readiness measures on the California dashboard. This includes A through G and AP course completion. With my years of experience in high school counseling and college counseling, as well as course creation, the Ed Services team asked me to partner with Ariel in the new course creation process here at NUSD to support the Curriculum and Assessment Council. In collaboration with the Curriculum and Assessment Council, a clear and streamlined process was created for staff to submit new courses or make updates to existing courses within the district. This process took into consideration the current steps that existed within the district, as well as steps that other local school districts were taking to ensure proper evaluation and feedback in a timely manner for all new courses. This also aligns with the course request process at the secondary school sites, as well as the A through G course submission windows. This process affects mostly just the secondary school sites. To start the process, the school site teams create a course proposal and submit it to the site for site-based approval. Then this moves to the Curriculum Assessment Council to receive information about the course concept proposal, and the council can ask questions of the teachers presenting it in order to be able to understand the need for the new course. This happens at our monthly Curriculum and Assessment Council meetings. Then the Ed Services team reviews the courses and submits them to the board, just like we're doing tonight. As Ariel mentioned, the courses that we're discussing tonight are updates to existing courses to make them more appealing for students and families, as well as more rigorous in some cases, and does not create new singleton courses in the master schedule. This should have little to no impact on the master scheduling besides a possible increase in student enrollment into these courses. These updates will help our college and career readiness indicators by increasing A through G completion, by making one of our courses an A through G approved course, and increase AP course completion by making an honors course into an AP course. Tonight, we will have teachers from Newark Memorial High School speak about the process, experience, and rationale for the courses that we are submitting for approval tonight. Math teacher Tyler Jorgens will speak first about AP Pre-Calculus, which would replace Math Analysis Honors. Math teacher Scott Jorgens will speak secondly about Aerospace Engineering, which would replace Astronomy Aerospace Rocketry course. High school counselor Sonia Torres could not be here tonight, but we want to recognize the work she did to help support this process of these course creations. I will now hand it over to Tyler.
To do with this thing here, but it was handed to me. Hey, so I don't have too much to say really. The College Board's offering AP Pre-Calculus this year. I didn't hear about it, but then there were different people in our community, parents, another teacher, and then the counselor. Different people had asked me whether we were going to adopt it, and a few different parents had asked, and it seemed like a lot of other schools are going to change their math analysis honors or their pre-calculus honors class into an AP pre-calculus class. It's a direct replacement. I think over time, the only real main difference would be that as the AP releases some free response questions, obviously as the teacher, you would want to prepare students to do those, so those may end up driving the instruction, which I don't see as a bad thing. I think that also in doing so, they are going to start aligning around the name pre-calculus more. More schools will. I know when I went to college, there are plenty of students I was with who had taken pre-calculus in high school. Others called it math analysis, and it would be the same book. Our book that we have currently at the high school is a pre-calculus textbook. That's what it's called. So I don't see it having too big of an effect on anything really other than some the AP test at the end of the year for the juniors who do take that. But yeah, if there's anybody who has any questions, I feel like I don't have a ton to say here, really. Oh yeah, so That is from the College Board in terms of where it would kind of fall into the sequence there of events. Also, again, he was talking about the California math frameworks, where it taught, with all the standards are there. The standards that we currently teach for our math analysis and math analysis honors course are called pre-calculus in the CDE's document there. So I think it would align us with the CDE as well. Yeah, anything else you wanted me to touch on here?
I think we're good. We'll field questions at the end.
Okay, well, I probably spoke too long, so I'll pass this off.
All right, next up is Scott Jorgens with respect to the aerospace engineering.
All right, so this year is kind of the first year that we brought back this aerospace or astronomy, aerospace, and rocketry, which was at the request of students. There's a number of students in the rocketry club that participate in the Team America Rocketry Challenge. And they knew that this class had existed in the past, whether they heard from older siblings or whoever they had heard from. They knew that this existed and they wanted to bring it back. And so after surveying last year with the students, realizing that there would be enough to hold the class, it was set up. And then when the students got the chance to enroll for it, they realized it was not an A through G approved course. And so then a number of the students that had wanted to take the class decided not to because it was not A through G approved. So that kind of motivated us to look into some already approved A through G courses at other schools and kind of dig into how we could update our course, which I think originally was created in the 90s at some time, and kind of align it with what students wanted, where, you know, part of that class could be aligned with the Team America Rocketry Challenge, and then also just update our current course to make it more accessible for students at being A through G, something that they would want to take. And then also just, you know, since the 90s, there's been updates in technology and things like that, that this course will take advantage of a little bit. Yeah, so with the new course, it has a little bit more emphasis on engineering and design. And I think that's why it brings engineering into the name. It won't really require us to get anything new. A lot of the technology can be done on Chromebooks. You know, it's just spreadsheets and design tools that we already have access to on there. A lot of the things that we're using already are, you know, we have access to in the STAR Lab. We have class in there every day already, but we can make use of more of the things there with this new course. It is a G elective, is what it's approved as, which is a science-based elective course. And then, like I said, it's designed to incorporate the Team America Rocketry Challenge. So students who take the class, they don't have to participate, but they kind of would be working alongside students who are participating in the Team America Rocketry Challenge and supporting that. And then, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of overlapping components with the course that we already have in place. It's just updated kind of for where we're at.
So it is the recommendation of Ed Services and the NUSD Curriculum Council that the Board of Trustees formally approve the following as presented, and we'll pause and absolutely respond to questions or comments. Specifically, we're talking about AP Pre-Calculus, which would replace Math Analysis Honors and allow for students to take the College Board exam next year. Aerospace Engineering, that Mr. Jorgens just spoke of, and then the name change of all Math Analysis courses to Pre-Calculus specified there. And since I have a team with me, I'm going to ask them to come stand back up here and field any specific questions that the board may have. And I don't know, Diego, if you have any insights or comments that you would like related to this or from Mrs. Torres.
Oh, about like rocketry and stuff?
Sure.
Well, is it possible to like have the student back there actually speak on rocketry, because she's actually president of the club, and I know that she has a lot more insight on rocketry than I do.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, just a coincidence, I'm also in the rocketry club as well. But I was wondering if you guys are intending on actually like competing in TART or just sort of incorporating like the design and building process that we do for TARC?
So with the new class, there would be that option for students who are taking the class to participate in the Team America Rocketry Challenge. With the class we have this year, it's not really an option.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, you'd have to coordinate with the president and the advisor next year of rocketry, but there could be problems that arise about team registration because there's only 2 teams that are allowed to actually go to the competition if they qualify. So yeah, but that's for the future and whatever they want to decide on.
Can someone explain what TARC is? Like, what is that? Like Team America?
Yeah, so TARC, the American Rocketry Challenge, is basically a competition where all of these rocketry clubs throughout the country are preparing to meet the parameters of their rocket. So this year we have to have the payload and booster, 2 parts of the rockets come apart and both eject parachutes. And then there's height parameters and time parameters that we also have to meet. So we're basically just trying to get to the perfect score, and then they'll select 100 teams in the country who are closest to the perfect score to compete in Virginia. And last year I went to Virginia with Rio's team, Team 17, and they'll compete, and then the person who wins that will go on to the international competition and get opportunities with NASA and internships and all that stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Dolowich and team. Questions from the board?
Got a question from Mr. Tyler Jorgens on the naming, because the interesting thing is in 2005 when I took that class, it's called pre-calculus. So the question is there a legacy reason that the course here was called math analysis until today, or there used to be called pre-calculus and we changed to math analysis, then we're changing it back?
I don't know the legacy reason other than I know when I took it in 2008, it was called math analysis, and I believe it's been that way since then. I don't know if beforehand. I do know that in my research, as I was looking at schools adopting AP pre-calculus, that as I was looking up courses at different schools, it seemed like there was some courses still called math analysis, but a lot more of them seem to be called pre-calculus now than I would have remembered. I do think it's possible that beforehand, I saw Board Member Jones was doing this, indicating that possibly before my times it was called pre-calculus, but I think that there are 2 courses that are the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'm actually happy we're changing this name because the name analysis, if you ever take junior, senior level college math, it means another things. We shouldn't be calling a high school class analysis. That's not analysis.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that too.
Member Wen?
Yes, so when I was here, long before Mr. Tyler Jorgens, it was pre-calculus. So, but I just want to say I am all for any A through G requirements changing so that it does give our students an advantage of, making sure that they meet those requirements. So I really appreciate that you guys, your team has worked on that and has made those recommendations. But on a personal note, I would like to really thank Mr. Tyler Jorgens and Mr. Scott Jorgens for all their hard work and dedication to students, not only in the classroom, but their tireless efforts also coaching all 3 sports, fall, winter, and spring. And so we just really appreciate all the hard work that you do and the positive impact that you're making on the students, empowering them and helping them succeed, not just in the classroom, but also and all the skill sets that you're teaching them and coaching them are going to carry them throughout their whole life. So thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication.
Okay, any other board member questions or comments? Ms. Jones?
I too would like to thank both of you gentlemen for, I know you've come up through the Newark schools and chose to come back here to teach, and the efforts that you're putting into the students with the coaching and the classes and this work. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Jones. And President Thomas, do you have any questions?
No questions, but a comment. I certainly agree with these changes, and I appreciate that we're taking an elective and moving it into a G course. I like the moves to the AP, pre-calculus, and pre-calculus. I think these are the right moves.
Great, thank you. So if there are no further comments, can I get a motion?
I move to approve item 14.1.
I'll second that.
Should be me too. Should be me.
How do you vote? Board Member Torres?
Yes.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Zhang?
Yes.
Vice President Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Okay.
You did see that, right? Did you see what? I didn't.
Okay. Moving on to 14.3, Board Policy 3816 and Administrative Regulation 3516, Emergencies and Disaster Preparedness Plan. Dr. Triplett.
Thank you, Vice President Hill. I don't think we have any particular presentation for this, as these are standard board updates, but happy to take any questions.
14.2 was pulled, yeah. Any questions from the board?
Are we talking about looking at all of the policies as one? I'm confused.
We're on item 14.3, President Thomas.
Yes, I do have a question. As these things change, sometimes the words change, and one of the wording changes on the board policy 3516 is that it changed from may provide trainings to shall provide trainings to employees regarding their responsibilities, including periodic drills and exercises. Are we providing those trainings now?
Yes, we, as we've presented to the board earlier this year, we've been engaged in safety trainings that include these type of things that are articulated here in terms of emergencies and disaster preparedness.
And then, are we taking all of them together, or are we?
No, we're doing them one by one.
Okay, so I'll wait till you get to the ones I want to comment on.
Great. Any additional questions or comments?
Ready to make a motion?
Okay, please do so.
So I move to approve the updated board policy 3516 and AR 3516, Emergencies and Disaster Preparedness Plan.
I'll second that.
Ms. Pims?
How do you vote, Board Member Torres?
Yes.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Zhang?
Yes.
Vice President Hill? And President
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to policy update 14.4. And again, Dr. Triplett, I'm assuming that all these, that there's not really any further comment.
Correct, yeah, happy to take questions.
Great. So are there any questions from the board regarding 14.4 policy update? So it's board policy 6173.1 and administrative regulation 6173.1, education for foster youth. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes, I have a question. And I'm sorry I didn't get this to the superintendent earlier, but there is a clause in here that says when there are 15 homeless students in the district LCAP shall include goals and specific actions. So my question is, and I just briefly looked at the LCAP and I didn't notice any goals related to homeless. Do we have 15 or more homeless students in the district?
Well, I don't have those numbers in front of me, so I don't want to make any assumptions, especially since that's highly confidential information. If we do, we will add that into subsequent LCAP.
Okay, I think this speaks to the need to keep our policies updated because when these things come up, if I didn't read about this, I wouldn't have known some of the verbiage that went from may to shall, things like that. So thank you for updating this.
Absolutely. And as we go through the updates, we do highlight sections to make sure that our protocols and policies also match. So it's a great opportunity for us to sort of do a self-audit before we get to that time. But thank you.
I agree.
Any further questions? Okay, can I get a motion to approve policy update, board policy 6173.1 and administrative regulation 6173.1, education for foster youth?
So move.
A second.
How do you vote? Board Member Torres?
Yes.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Zhang?
Yes.
Board Member Hill? And President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Agenda item 14.5, policy update, board policy 1621, home-based schooling. Are there any questions from the board regarding this policy? Okay, if there's no questions.
That we approve the deletion of that policy.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, President Thomas?
Yes, I move that we delete that policy per board recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's asking to rescind it, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so can I get a motion to rescind board policy 1621, home-based schooling?
She made the motion.
Oh, okay.
I'll
all
second
right.
that.
Board Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Zhang?
Yes.
Board Member Hill?
Yes.
And President Thomas, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So moving on to consent agenda, pulled agenda items. So we have agenda items 12.4, 12.6, and 12.7 that have been pulled. And I believe, Member Thomas, were you the one that pulled 12.4?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, Dr. Trippo, do you want to provide any additional background before we take comments and questions from the board?
Maybe just, it'd be helpful to know any questions that President Thomas had with regard to pulling this item.
President Thomas, you have the floor.
I didn't hear the question.
Do you want to explain why you wanted to pull 12.4?
Right. I'm not against it but I think it should be handled as a first reading and tabled to the next meeting agenda. I think there's questions about the contract that was awarded to Trifera to inventory the Chromebooks. I think we just need to take a big breath and defer this purchase. I would like to know what was in the contract for the $26,000 inventory, against what criteria, and based on the inventory, has it been decided that we need to add or replace 2,579 Chromebooks? How many are replacements and how many are based on a new need? And if it's the latter, what is that need? This information would be helpful. Explaining the inventory report would be helpful. I just think things as large in dollar amount and as complicated as this deserve a little time for us to look into getting a little bit more information. $820,000 is a lot of money. So I'm just asking the board to table this and bring it back after everyone's had a chance to ask their questions and get more information.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Are there other comments or questions from board members?
Sorry, Vice President Hill, would the board like us to respond to those questions?
Sure.
Okay. Ms. Delacruz?
So there was a question about the inventory that was separate from this purchase. The inventory had to do with taking a physical inventory of all of the Chromebooks throughout the district. So that particular PO and contract involves the vendor to go out to all of the sites and inventory our Chromebooks. Part of the reason for doing that is after distance learning, we found some discrepancies. So we're trying to reconcile our records with the actual physical inventory in the district, and that's still ongoing. The 2,500 Chromebooks that we're purchasing now is all based on one end-of-life inventory that we have with Google. They provide us with a list of models that are outdated and no longer being supported, or the operating systems are obsolete. And then the other part of this PO or this purchase has to do with school requests. So we have the junior high and the high school both requesting Chromebooks based on Chromebooks that are missing from carts that they have, Chromebooks that need to be repaired or replaced, and also with the junior high, the increase of students that are there, and also providing Chromebooks to all the students.
Thank you, Ms. Delacruz. Any other questions or comments on this item?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Any other questions, comments? I do have one comment also on this item. So, well, actually two. So one is, and I've expressed this before, it's hard for me to approve items when I don't sort of see the big picture and I don't see the plan. And it would really, and we've approved a number of different Chromebook purchases, but it's at least from my perspective, it seems piecemeal because I don't see the larger plan. And what would be really helpful is to be able to see essentially, here's the universe of Chromebooks in our district. Here's what they look like per site. Here's, essentially where they are in terms of their end of life. And then here's the phase plan for doing regular replacements. And then also what's the associated cost so that we can see all that. But to just sort of have agenda items come up, onesie twosie, it's hard. And that connects to my second point, which was in our audit for this year, one of the interim findings in July was around fixed asset inventory. And the statement that Christy White made is that there is no procedural follow-up to the inventory of major fixed assets once purchased, tagged, and placed into service. Christy White would recommend annual inventory of all items susceptible to theft and/or high value, for example, power tools, audiovisual equipment, computers, and furniture. If items are disposed of, there should be documentation and approval for the disposal and removal from inventory records. Missing items should be followed up on. And so, again, I don't see how we're doing this here, and per President Thomas's comment, I think that we could very easily make mistakes if we don't have a larger plan, either in over-purchasing or possibly even under-purchasing. And I would agree with President Thomas that we should table this, bring this back, and maybe provide a little bit more detail and bigger picture of how all this works before we spend $820,000.
Maybe this is a question for someone over there. Do we have like an estimate of like how many Chromebooks are needed per site and how many are damaged at the site? And if not, like how long do you think that would take?
The numbers that I do have are for the junior high and the high school in terms of the requests that we've received. The end of life, there's 1,000 within this order, and they're at various sites, at all the school sites. So I know that there's about 462 at the high school that are missing from the carts, and 309 that need to be repaired or replaced. And then there's 13 carts with 36 per cart, 468 that need to be purchased.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of Chromebooks that aren't like where they're supposed to be at these schools, which means that these students don't have access to a laptop so they can do their work. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Yes, and when we came back from distance learning, well, first, if you remember, we had to purchase several because of distance learning, and then we came back from distance learning, and so we had to replace, or we are still trying to replace some of the ones that we never got back. And this is part of the bigger plan to get to where each of our students have access to a Chromebook at school. And I know that testing is coming up as well. So that's why, also the reason why we're presenting this to the board, because we do have some schools that need to replace their end of life so that they can do some of their testing on their Chromebooks.
The inventory that's being worked on, what's the projected time frame that that's going to be completed? Because that would help when it comes to making a decision about this. I too am of the mindset of I know how important it is to have working computers in the classroom, but I also think it's really important for us to know where our computers are and what kind of, in a purchase like this, what are we doing about how are we logging them in terms of who's got those computers, so we know where those 420 some odd that you just said we don't know where they are. How are we going to prevent that from happening in the future when we've got an expenditure like this? So that's one question. The other is about what's the projected date that inventory would be considered complete, even if you aren't able to get all the information on every single computer.
Yeah, it is in progress. I want to say the physical inventory is probably about 90% complete. So now we're in the process of reconciling the physical versus our district records. We have a couple of programs in place to maintain the inventory. And we're hoping to, after we do this inventory, to expand it to the rest of our physical assets. So it should be, I would say maybe within the next couple of months, it should be complete.
Okay, so, and the process for which, when they are checked out to students, are these going to be computers that are going to stay in the classroom that the students would use? Is there going to be anything done in terms of a student getting that same computer every single time, like it's numbered and they just know they go for number 2 every time they come into class? Are any of those kinds of procedures being put into place so that when things are damaged, it's not a mystery?
Yeah, so these Chromebooks are not being assigned to individual students. They're going to be in carts, and each of our carts will be numbered, and each of the Chromebooks will be numbered based on the carts that they belong to, and how the teachers assign them within their classroom. I don't know that there's a standard process for that, but it would be similar, hopefully, throughout the district, to where teachers know which students have checked out which Chromebook out of which cart.
So my recommendation would be that we do come up with some kind of a standardized system for all teachers to use so that the accountability on everyone's part is there.
Could I make another comment?
Go ahead, President Thomas.
Yeah, I know we've looked over some of the numbers, and it looks like we've spent $1.5 million in the last 2 fiscal years on computers, and this is another $800,000. It would be really helpful to see the plan, ongoing plan for turning over computers or Chromebooks when they reach their end of life. So I still stand by my request that we table this and get a little bit more information and bring it back.
So President Thomas, since you're the one that pulled this and, are making this request, are you going to make a motion to that effect?
No,
I'd like to move that we table this until at least the next meeting.
Do I get a second? I second the motion. Can we do a count, please?
Member Torres, how do you vote?
No.
Member Nguyen?
No.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
No.
Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm not I'm sorry. So we have student member Torres voting no, member Nguyen voting no, member Jones voting yes, member Zhang voting no, myself voting no, President Thomas voting no, and I'm unclear about how this works from a student board member perspective.
Sorry, I think you just need to say how many no's and how many yeses there were. For the
Right,
motion.
but so the part I'm unclear about is how do we count the student member? Okay, so we have 3 yeses and 2 no's regarding tabling this and bringing it back to the next meeting. So the motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So the next agenda item is that was pulled was 12.6, contract amendment, Ratcliffe Architects. I don't know, Dr. Triplett, if you and your staff want to provide any more detail. I was the one that pulled it.
Yeah, if you'd like to ask a question, happy to answer.
Yeah, so my only concern here, I mean, I understand the need for this, but just the frustration is this is part of the larger HVAC project, and this has gone through so many change orders in the course of its life. And as a former project manager, again, it's not good management. I mean, it really means that you haven't done good planning when, you see so many different change orders. And I understand that, again, things happen, but it seems to me that some of these safety issues could have been anticipated in advance with some proper planning and discussion. And so I just kind of like to know because I believe that it's RGM Kramer that's managing this. Have they talked at all about how they're going to get these change orders under control?
So Member Hill, this amendment is actually an amendment to the architect's contract. And it's not a change order to the construction contract. We haven't gone out to bid on this phase of the project. This is the preliminary stage where we have to get approval from the Division of State Architects, and it's gone through the Division of State Architects, and they've reviewed it. And sometimes they look at certain areas. In this particular case, it had to do with safety. And it was something that they wanted the architects to add detail on, and the detail has to do with where the workers would be hooking up their harnesses so that they're safe when they're working on these units. So this is an amendment to the architect's contract so they could amend and modify the drawings that are being submitted to DSA so that we can go out to bid.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about this?
No, I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Board Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Board Member Jones?
Yes.
Board Member Shang?
Yes.
Board Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the last item that was pulled was 12.7, so controllers and access points. And I don't remember who pulled that item. Was that you, Oh, it was Member Jones. So Member Jones, do you want to pose your questions to Dr. Triplett and staff?
Okay, so the reason that I pulled it is I understand that this from Coligo Systems, and I had a question originally about the installation costs on this, and then went back and looked further and saw that they actually are built into this, so this is the exact cost. But the fact that, I mean, I know that this work needs to be done. It's okay. I know the work needs to be done. I agree that the work needs to be done. It is important for the academics of the students that this work is done. I would really like to see the scope and sequence when it comes to, this is the high school, what's it going to be for the junior high, what's the cost going to be for all the schools, so that we know what the umbrella is of the full cost of this whole project. Because in terms of the district, it's important that we do understand the full scope of the amount of work that needs to be done, what the overall cost, if we were doing it right now, would be. I realize that if we had this done for all the school sites, that of course, we couldn't necessarily do all of them right away, but we could prioritize the schools that need to be done first, which honestly, in my opinion, the high school is an important place to start. But I'd like to be able to see what the whole project would be, including all the school sites. So that was the reason I wanted to pull it at this point.
Thank you. I think, Ms. Delacruz, if you want to chime in, I believe we also have someone online who made the original presentation about this back when we first did the audit, so to speak, of the Wi-Fi. But I will say clearly, and we presented in the past about this at the request of a number of board members. The problem is most acute and severe, as you mentioned, at the high school. And so I think part of the plan is that we know we have to do it there. So that's just like, it's already established. So moving forward with it there, and then at that point making the determination if we want to continue to expand that to other schools. If the situation does become as acute at the other schools, then that would be a decision to be made. But I think right now the idea was let's try to fix this, and with our very best expertise from our consultant, and then go from there. But you want to anything else you want to add to that, Ms. Delacruz?
Yes, so this project will actually end up in 2 phases. So this first phase is the high school, take care of the access points, replacing all the access points and updating them, plus the controllers for the district that controls the access points will also be upgraded and be able to provide more functionality. And then the second part of it will be the rest of the schools, and we're working with E-rate. And so E-rate is a program where the district could get reimbursed for some of the costs. And the estimate for that part of the project is about $700,000. So overall, and we mentioned this at the last update back in November, I believe, we were looking at about $900,000 for the total cost of the project, but some of that would be reimbursed by E-rate. We already have all of our list of inventory of what needs to be done in the next phase, and because we have a deadline to submit it as part of the E-rate program. So we're hoping to send out an RFP for that and then bring it back to the board for award hopefully by April.
Okay, thank you.
Member Wen?
I just have a comment. I do feel like this project is actually an emergency. The teachers and the students have been complaining about the Wi-Fi access and their ability to teach, and it's impacting them for over a year now, I would say. And so for us to even take this long is a definite concern to me. So I feel like this is definitely an emergency and that we definitely need to do this. But also, I do have one question in regards to the licensing. Is this a one-time licensing fee? And then we do have managed services wireless devices for the first year. Does that include support?
I'm actually going to have our consultant, Mr. Perez, who is online.
Hello, you guys.
He'll be able to answer those questions.
Hi.
So there are two licenses on the first part of the project. Both of the license costs are perpetual. So they're not subscriptions. They're like, once the licenses are purchased, you guys own them.
Okay.
There is support attached to the licenses and attached to the physical pieces of hardware, the wireless controllers. The initial part of the project, I included managed services to help the IT staff through the first year, just because it's a new system and it's a different system, and there is a little bit of a gap between how the two work. Beyond the first year, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm happy to help. But we just included the first one on the initial project because we know it's a relevant, necessary thing that, we can't just install this, get it running, and then expect the IT staff to pick it up immediately. And so we knew there would be some overlap in managing the existing systems that the IT staff is doing, and then learning, and then picking up the new system.
Okay, but I have a add-on question for that. Since you said that the license was perpetual, we own that device after paying the license fee, and you said that support is attached to it. What is the life of the support?
So the existing, as it sits, it's a 5-year support agreement with the vendor, the Aruba. So that entitles the district to software updates, software upgrades, any type of software support or issues with the product. Like if something fails physically on the wireless controller, they can get it fixed. I think that's next business day.
Okay.
If there's an issue with the software, they can call, anybody in the district can call support and get assistance with that. And that's for the first 5 years. And that's not a limitation of software, it's just a limitation of how long they issue support contracts on a piece of software or hardware at a time. And it's currently limited to 60 months.
Other questions from the board? Go ahead, student member.
I would just like to state the importance of this proposal that's coming up, because when we came out of distance learning showed us that a lot of teachers had to move their lessons onto the computers, had to move all their lessons plans, like there was no more paper and pencil, and a lot of teachers just kept that way coming back from distance learning. And so there's a lot of teachers and a lot of students on the Wi-Fi every day, every period, because of the way that teachers have now moved into computer-based learning. And so I think that we've seen this Wi-Fi, and we obviously know it's not the best. If you say it's the best, then I would say go to the high school and try working for the whole day, and you will not get much done. It is really bad. Some classes even have to move outside, have to move into the cafeteria just so they can get some better Wi-Fi. And I don't think that's acceptable, and I don't think that waiting any longer is acceptable as well, because students can't wait for learning, Learning happens every day, and if we say, sorry, like you have to wait for better Wi-Fi, we're just basically saying, sorry, you have to wait to learn. And I don't think that's acceptable. That's all I would like to say.
Thank you, student member. Any other questions or comments from the board? So I do have one question or concern around this. And I do not proclaim to be an expert in this area, but my recollection is when this issue was brought before us a few months back, the issue that was laid out was we have bandwidth problems at the high school, right? So we have access problems. And then my understanding of the next step, and this is, normally how, what I've seen in places that I've worked in the past, when you have a problem, you don't rush to a solution. You go and you analyze it and you come up with options, and then you talk about pros and cons and costs, and then based on that discussion, then you make a decision. But it seems that we've sort of rushed to a solution here, and I'm not sure that it is necessarily the best solution. It could be, but I will tell you that after we had that discussion a couple of months ago, I went to my IT department at Cupertino High School, and I said, well, so, in our district, we're having bandwidth issues at our school, and I'm curious how you guys approach this, because they face the exact same issues that any high school would face. And what the IT manager in my school basically said was that really what they're doing is they're essentially creating separate networks, right? So you've got one for faculty, you've got one for students, and then you're basically limiting download speeds for the students, and I think that they were putting it like 100 megabytes down. And kind of the concept is that if you make it restrictive enough where it will still support online learning, so if you need to access a learning management platform or something else where, again, the download speeds are not that, bandwidth heavy, versus streaming TikTok videos or something else, that it will basically force the students who are bandwidth hogs to actually use their personal devices to go on their own, essentially self-service to access that, rather than getting onto Wi-Fi. And so again, I'm just kind of concerned that we're rushing to an answer here, and it's not a cheap answer, but not necessarily knowing what the other options are. And I'd be curious what the consultant's viewpoint is on this, and maybe I'm missing something.
So I don't disagree with anything that they're saying. I believe that's valid and that's true, and that's typically the way forward. So when myself and Paul and Marie are talking about bandwidth, it's not internet bandwidth where it's like, the internet connection isn't fast enough to handle the speed. That's not the bandwidth we're exactly talking about. So the problem that we have is it begins with channel congestion. So the more wireless devices that exist in a small space, the more congested the wireless channels get. It's similar to you go to a 49er game or an A's game, and the wireless is okay, and you can get on their wireless and it's fine. But then by the second quarter or third inning, it's unusable. Yep. And it's not because you've exhausted their internet pipe or their connection, their actual connection bandwidth. It's because it's the wireless space, the channel space has been chewed up. And that's why the problem is mostly acute at the high school, and then less so at the junior high, and then less so everywhere else. So there's more wireless devices, the slower it gets. And it's not because the wireless devices are doing more or they're consuming more. It's simply because there's more of them. That's the first problem. The second problem is the wireless system as it exists, the Ruckus Smart Zone 100, lacks certain capabilities about how it assigns channels to different devices. So there's a finite spectrum of channel width that it can assign to an access point. Some systems can dynamically assign channels that go, well, you're very congested, so we're going to give you 20 megahertz wide channels. Or you're near the football field and there's no congestion, so we're going to give you 160 megahertz wide channels. The Ruckus system doesn't exactly offer that. It allows us to set a single channel width globally for every access point, whether it's at a remote parking lot or whether it's in the middle of the high school. And that's not optimal, because if we have to set it for 20 megahertz or 40 megahertz, in certain congested places, that starts to become a problem where we need more functionality than that. And then the third part of the problem is that with the current system, we can't prioritize and we can't really discriminate against traffic. It's essentially, once that channel space is congested, if somebody wants, that access point will offer 200, 300, 400 megs of bandwidth, but the first person that asks for it gets it. And that's the third part of the problem. And so yes, it is bandwidth, but it's not, I think, the bandwidth that we're used to just speaking of kind of generally, of like internet bandwidth, like my Comcast is slow, or my internet.
So you're talking about the access point. It's the bottlenecks at the access point.
Yeah, so it starts with channel space, it starts with channel congestion, and then it goes to the system not having the capabilities to manage the channels effectively. And then the final problem is that it doesn't manage like individual user bandwidth effectively. It doesn't have the tools for that, to say nobody should get 99% of the bandwidth available on this access point. And that's kind of what it does right now.
Okay, so basically, like you say, first come, first served, and then they can potentially consume a big chunk of the bandwidth and shut everybody else out.
Yep.
And then,
sorry.
And there's not and is there a way to actually differentiate between devices, whether it's a laptop or a cell phone?
No.
Okay.
Not at this point, I don't think.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the explanation. Are there any other questions from any?
Yeah, so I remember last time in the presentation, I mentioned about TikTok that you just mentioned, and then they were clear that blocking TikTok doesn't really help because of the devices. So even though I think we blocked Facebook on campus, apparently that didn't help that much either.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion to pass this.
I will second that.
Member Torres, how do you vote?
Yes.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you. So that's it for consent agenda items. And hold on a second here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we have pulled 16.1, so we can move past that. So now we're at 17.1, Board of Education recognitions and announcements. And so do we want to start with student member?
I would like to recognize the wonderful staff at New York Memorial High School, including the special education teachers. I see them every morning. They always have the biggest smiles on their face, and I'm so happy that they're proud to work at New York Memorial High School and they take pride in their job, and I would just like them to be recognized.
Thank you, Student Board Member Torres. I just want to really appreciate everyone, again, for all their hard work and dedication to our district, our teachers. I know that we're in negotiations and these times are tough, and I think that everyone are open-minded to working together, and I really appreciate the process that Ms. Ingham Waters has created with the NTA group and our other bargaining units. And then also just wanted to really appreciate all the students who submitted their work for the Silent Film Festival. That was wonderful. And also wanted to also appreciate all of our teachers who also dedicate their time and additional time to coaching and involved in coaching and working with Coach K and staff over there and getting all the parents involved as well. They do a wonderful job organizing fall, winter, and spring orientation groups. I was a part of that the other night, and I just wanted to say that a lot goes into it and a lot of preparation and time, and just wanted to appreciate all the coaches who volunteer and who also are hired by the district to help work with our students. So thank you for that. And it's Black History Month, so I'm excited to be celebrating Black History Month as well.
I'd just like to say that I really appreciate all the hard work that the teachers put in on a daily basis, including the paraprofessionals and anyone who is, everyone works with the students, but I appreciate everyone who does do that. I know it's not always easy, but the hard work is definitely appreciated. And I had the opportunity to go to the 8th grade awards ceremony last week, and that was a fabulous experience. It was really good to go and to see past students that I have had up there, and made me feel really proud to see them up there, and really enjoyed that, and was really glad to see that that was happening at the junior high. So.
I just want to say that I wanted to also appreciate Principal Pakowski at the junior high for bringing back the awards, but it was a huge turnout. I didn't make it for the 8th grade, but I was there for the 7th and part of the 6th, and there was many awardees and attendees. So thank you, students, for working really hard, and also parents for supporting your students. So that was great.
Member Sean?
Want to echo all my fellow board members' comment and thank for all the teacher and the staff for working tirelessly on a daily basis to make sure our district functions as well as possible. And obviously this is my second to the last meeting. I will use my farewell address in 2 weeks to speak to the students. So today I will be speaking to you, Superintendent, and your cabinet members. Obviously, it's a great pleasure of knowing you in the past 2.5 years and get to know and work with your cabinet members, Ms. Della Cruz, Ms. Pierce Davis, and Ms. Ingan Waters. And I really enjoy our one-on-one, that we share mutual feedback and we learn new things with each other, and we grew together, and hope that our paths cross again in the future.
Thank you, Member Sean. I want to echo all my fellow board members' comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we should probably let President Thomas go. President Thomas, any?
Okay. I would just like to say that I went to the 6th grade awards ceremony at the junior high, and it was wonderful. At the middle school, it was wonderful, and I really enjoyed seeing the students and all the parents that showed up, and the esprit de corps and the way it provides students with an incentive to continue working hard in their classes, and always appreciating students and staff, teachers and staff, especially for the hard work they're doing in light of low staff ratios and difficulty in getting subs. So appreciate your work. Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, President Thomas. And lastly, I want to echo all of my fellow board members' comments. And I just want to wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year. And I don't know, my wife's told me how to say it in Chinese, but I forget. But I do know Geng Hei Fa Chui. But maybe Member Jean could tell us how to say it properly. And
that's actually pretty close in Cantonese. We all understand what that means.
Okay. So moving on to 17.2 Board of Education Committee reports. So Member Thomas, I'm sorry, President Thomas, any updates from Mission Valley ROP?
Yes, I attended my first ROP meeting a week or two ago, and I will be attending one next week on the 9th. It's great to be back there. I was on that board for many years, and I'm looking forward to several years to come.
Great.
Oh, and I also attended the meeting of the city and school task force. What's it called?
The liaison committee.
Yeah, anyway, that was a very good meeting, and I'm looking forward to more meetings to come. We had some good discussions and learned a lot about what the library is doing to support our students.
Okay, thank you, President Thomas. So Member Jones, any updates from SELPA?
No, haven't had a meeting yet, I don't believe. At least I haven't been contacted about it.
Great, thank you. And no updates regarding Newark Teacher Induction Advisory Council, and also no updates from an audit committee perspective. Member Wen, any updates from the Bond Parcel Tax Committee?
No, we have not had a meeting.
Okay, great. Okay,
I have a
moving.
question. I have a request.
I'm sorry?
Can I talk again?
Wait. Hold. So we're not at that item yet.
Oh, no, it's not well, okay, that's fine. It really relates to my, my role on the ROP board. And it's that we really need to have a alternate if I can't make it to a meeting. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to.
So the city liaison committee, I also wonder, yeah, in addition to what Member Thomas said, we also have a brief discussion about the active shooting drill, which I think is very important given what's happening even just a couple of days ago, that physically so close to us, right?
Thank you, Member Jean. Okay, so moving on to 17.3 Board of Education requests. Student member?
I request that all the board meetings go this fast.
I second that request.
Okay, I'm sure we would get a unanimous vote on that. Okay, great. Member Wen?
No requests at this time.
Thank you. Member
To cut
Jones?
the meeting short,
Yes.
Hint, hint.
Yes. Okay. Member Jones?
Yes, just as a joke, I request that the next meeting go on for a good 7 hours, just so this man can experience another one on his way out. Just kidding.
Okay, we'll start working on that. Okay, Member Jean?
Yeah, so not a joke, but follow up on the meeting length. I just think when meeting runs over 5 or 6 hours, I just couldn't imagine a parent with 2 kids that need to go to work tomorrow that really want to follow that meeting till 11 or 12, knowing that you need to go to work and feed your children. So.
Well, and I would just like to add to that if you're a teacher and you have to go to school and teach 90 kids, yeah, so it's a little tiring the next day. Okay. I do not have any requests. So, but President Thomas, do you have any requests?
Well, the only thing I can think of is getting a reading from the rest of the board in terms of talking about our board bylaws and how we run our meetings. That would be the 9300 methods of operation that was on the agenda earlier that I pulled. I would not be against a board workshop so we could, just banter around some ideas on how to improve our meetings so they're efficient, how to look at our current bylaw and how we might adjust it to fit what we're doing or what we should be doing, more than just an agenda item on a regular meeting. Would you be open to spending an hour before one of our regular meetings to talk about it?
Okay, so there's a request to potentially hold a study session to talk about the process for running the meetings, partly contained with methods of operation. Do we have support among the board to do that?
Yes.
Okay, yes, so it looks like we have unanimous support, so we'll figure out, President Thomas, how to get that scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then moving on, 18.1, Superintendent's concluding comments, updates, and future agenda items.
I'm going to go with this short meeting theme and say I have no comments or just an appreciation for how quickly we've moved tonight.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, okay, so it looks like at 9:04, well, no, we got to get a motion, right? We got to get a motion. Yeah, okay, so we're through our agenda at 9:05. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay. Ms. Pims?
How do you vote, Member Torres?
Yes.
Member Wen?
Yes.
Member Jones?
Yes.
Member Zhang?
Yes.
Member Hill?
Yes.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.